Good morning, everyone. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Ba't gaman?
Wala, kasi it's a Friday and we're still alive. So,
Uso pa pala yun? Di ba pang 90s yun?
Hindi ako gumanon.
Ano ba? O di ganun.
Diba si Pops J. Tarok? Pilipinas.
Okay. Sino ka?
Diego Castro, sabi ko. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Yon. We are the Castros.
And welcome to another day of Brunch on One News. And of course, it's a Friday.
We have Buddha's Belly.
Pa-isa-isa mo.
Ayo, sa'yo yan, hindi akin yan, ha?
Go.
Hindi akin yan. So we have Buchi, of course, my ever-favorite Buchi.
Yes.
We have, wait lang ha, check ko to.
Yan ang Buchi.
Yan yung Buchi, that's hakaw. We have seafood yang chow. Seafood curry, sorry.
Ito.
Yan. Tapos, yang chow, which is the rice. Fish corn.
Yun, sa dulo.
Yun, oo. Tapos, chop suey.
Yes. Masarap.
Tapos yung ever-favorite ko na chili sauce. Grabe yung chili sauce nila, sobrang. Kahit ito lang yung lagay mo sa rice mo, solve na, sarap.
Mapaghalata na baka wala tayong ulam sa bahay. Right. Pero hindi porket Friday matumal ang balita because there are a lot of news that is coming in and nag-update yung mga pangyayari mula Monday because we're all serving you news in a countdown.
And all that before your second cup of coffee, this is Brunch.
Punching in first on our countdown are the Filipino boxers at the 2024 Paris Olympics. Our bets paid a courtesy call to MVP Sports Foundation Chairman Manny V. Pangilinan yesterday. The MVP Sports Foundation and Smart Sports gave out free cell phones with eSIMs to Ira Villegas, Perji Bakyadan, Nesty Petesio, and Carlo Paalam. And in return, the boxers gifted MVP his own Olympic boxing jacket. The sports patron invited the boxers to pledge his support for them. MVP is optimistic that Filipino Olympian boxers will do their best for the country. One News under Signal is part of the MVP group of companies.
Well, we can only ask them to do their best for the country, no? And I think they will. They've gone through quite a bit of training here and abroad, especially abroad, our boxers particularly. And we wish them all the best. We assure them our support, no? Continuing through to the end of the Olympics. And we wish them all the best. Wish them well.
Of course,
sana all, Char.
Of course, one of the sports that the Philippines excels in is boxing, di ba? As evident with past champions like Elorde, Pacquiao, di ba? You have Espinosa, diba? Velasco. So, it's just about fitting na si MVP paid homage to our boxers.
Totoo.
And of course, kailangan, kasi alam mo naman, ang hirap ng training dinadaan nila. They had budget problems. So, by helping them, at least alam nila na they are being looked after and they are loved. And in return, mas ganado sila mag-perform.
Oo. Kasi di ba dati yan talaga yung nagiging problema ng mga Filipino athletes
budget
natin.
concerns.
Diba? Wala silang budget, di sila makapag-training sa mga training facilities that they really need to train din. Tapos yung mga pangangailangan nila, hindi rin nabibigay. So,
kasi dati ang focus ng country natin decades ago was basketball. Doon ang pondo. At least now, medyo kalat na yung budget natin and a lot of foundations are helping out. Like, for example, si Boss MVP, di ba, he helps out yung basketball team natin, meron yung volleyball, di ba, now you have si boxing. And si Nesty Petesio in the last Olympics, although hindi siya podium finish, maganda ang performance niya. Umabot siya sa quarters or sa semis. Doon lang tayo nadali. But to compete up, on a high level up to the semis or quarters, magandang performance. That means may chance tayo ngayon.
May chance talaga.
We have a chance for another gold.
We're always rooting naman para sa ating Filipino athletes.
Kahit wala si Heidi Lynn Diaz, may chance pa rin tayo.
Yes, sige. Good luck. At syempre, lagi naman tayo nandito para sa kanila.
Kailan kaya ang Philippines-China match sa boxing, no?
Abangan mo. Tignan mo yan yung schedule nila. But coming in at our next topic for today. For our ninth spot, a cleaner at NAIA found a pair of used socks that contained over $18,000 or around 1 million pesos. Rosalinda Celero found the socks under a chair at NAIA's 3's departure area on Thursday. She then brought it to the terminal's lost and found section. The Manila International Airport Authority, o MIA, is now trying to identify the owner of the money. It adds that the person may have tried to smuggle it out of the country. Nevertheless, MIA General Manager Eric Ines lauded Celero for being honest.
Kasi ang sabi ng iba, may limit kasi how much you can bring out to the country. It's $10,000, $10,000 US dollars, di ba? That was before. I don't know kung nag-update sila ngayon. Kung 18,000 yan, siguro natakot siya, mahuli siya, iniwan niya. Pero nakakatuwa yung kay yung airport cleaner natin. It's because since
si Rosalinda Celero,
this person tried to smuggle it, malamang iniwan niya dahil natakot, hindi na niya hahanapin yung pera na yan. Kasi tinambak na yan. She could have just easily taken it, bulsahin niya. That's $1 million pesos. Ang dami niyang magagawa sa buhay niya with 1 million, pero inisip pa rin niyang ibalik.
Saludo tayo sa kanya, kay Rosalinda. Nasa loob daw ng socks yung mga pera.
Oo.
Diba? Habang siya ay naglilinis.
Alam mo, ang daming mga politicians that could learn a lesson from this. Diba? Si Manang Rosalinda, pinili niya na
maging matapat.
Maging matapat at huwag kunin ang malaking halaga.
Alam mo kasi, kahit let's say for example, kinuha yan, tapos hindi siya nahuli. Diba? Parang yung konsensya mo
Hindi mo kaya.
Diba? Feeling ko yun yung talagang inisip nito ni Nanay Rosalinda. But yun nga, kudos tayo. Saludo sa kanya. Doon sa nag-try mag-smuggle yan. Thank you.
Thank you para kay Nanay Rosalinda.
Anong mangyayari ngayon dito sa pera na to? Kasi
wala na.
Sabi mo nga, diba? Nobody will claim that.
Because may mga penalties if you try to smuggle.
Yes,
that's why, di ba,
nobody will try to claim that.
Kasi if the person filled out sa declaration form na wala siyang ilalabas o ipapasok na pera above this limit, tapos meron pala siyang above it, nag-perjure na siya sa form niya. So, walang na magkiklaim yan because natatakot ma-persecute.
Exactly.
So, wala na yan.
Yun nga. Kaya nga sabi ko, ano yung gagawin ng dyan, airport? Saan nila ito turn over? That I'm not familiar kasi
kung ano yung protocol nila sa ganyan.
Protocol pag ganyan. Basta alam natin, bawal mag-dala ng ganito nung certain amount of money, di ba, sa airport. Paano na pag ganyan may sobra at hindi nga maklaim, hindi natin alam kung sino. Dahil nobody will try to get that back.
Supposedly, di ba, nung may nag-issue na after a few years na walang nag-claim ng certain items sa customs, di ba, usually they bid it out already. So I don't know kung ano yung situation sa ganito. Or iikot nila yung budget. Alala
ko before, yung smuggled naman ng mga, ano ba yun? Bags and shoes, yung mga luxury. Fake actually yun eh.
Sinusunog ata nila yung iba
Inano nila sinira nila
Sinira nila. Kasi nakakatakot kumalat sa market yan.
Exactly.
Okay. Pero madami pa tayo pag-uusapan.
Of course.
Let's move on. Making noise at our 8th spot are traffic enforcers. A recent study shows that traffic enforcers in EDSA are prone to experiencing hearing loss because of their exposure to traffic. Based on the study of UP Manila's National Institutes of Health, 13% of traffic enforcers stationed along EDSA for over 5 years are exposed to extreme noise. 16% of them are already experiencing hearing loss. The study found out that traffic enforcers hear 85 decibels of noise daily. This is already close to concerning 90 decibels. That is equivalent to the noise of a wheeled welding machine or a concert venue. MMDA is studying options to protect traffic enforcers from extreme noise.
Hindi naman po pwedeng completely magkaroon ng earplugs yung aming mga enforcers para hindi po maapektuhan dahil delikado rin po yan sa kanila. Hindi nila maririnig kung may parating na sasakyan. Amin pong pinag-aaralan kung ano po yung pwedeng gawin.
It is something na hindi din natin araw-araw na pag-uusapan but it's really important.
Very concerning yung mga ano na yan kasi yung 85 to 90 decibels already. That's way above yung required daily hearing limit ng eardrums mo. Nagkakaroon kasi ng perforation, nangliliit yung mga muscles, nagko-contract sa ears. So, sometimes, ang masama pa niyan, ang long-term pala effect is yung person who is exposed to noise does not know na meron na pala siyang decrease
Hindi
in
niya
hearing
alam.
capacity. Yun ang mga tipong sa bahay, may sinasabi yung asawa, yung anak, tapos, ha? Ano? Ano
Oo,
sabi mo?
or
Tas
kinatawag mo, hindi.
magagalit yung kausap. Sabi ko, ganyan. Yung pala, nagkaroon ng decrease in hearing capacity already because of constant exposure. Nakakaawa naman sila.
Tsaka yung isa pa daw na nagkakaroon din ng ganyan, yung exposure sa mga maingay, yung mga, ang tawag din yung sa kalsada, yung nagdidrill ng mga semento.
Construction workers.
Oo, yung nagdidrill ng semento. Di ba yung yung ganon?
Yeah.
Yun, kasama din daw yan sa mga, nagkakaroon ng problema sa pandinig.
Oo, pero
dahil doon sa exposure
ang
nila.
difference lang kasi ng MMDA officers natin, ang duty nila is 8 to 9 hours.
Exactly.
With 2-hour break. So that means they're left with 7 hours on the street exposed to 90 decibels straight for 7 hours.
Not
Diba?
to mention yung init, yung pawis, di ba?
Si GM, tama naman. Si GM,
What can you do?
diba? Si GM, tama, you cannot put earmuffs or earphones on them dahil pag cover mo yun, hindi nila maririnig ang incoming car.
Right.
Pero they should look at yung mga ginagamit sa barel. Kasi may mga yung earmuffs or yung ear,
Pero how will you, di ba, hear the surroundings?
There are levels to ilan decibels ang gusto mo i-filter out. For example, magbawas ka ng 5 decibels or magbawas ka ng 10 decibels. Di ba? Para pag-aralan nila yung mga ganyan options. Di ba? Kasi very dangerous nga dyan kung exposed na nga sila sa pollution
Totoo.
Kawawa naman.
Kawawa naman.
There's a lang problem.
Mag-consult sila sa mga
No, ito yung
ENT.
Ito daw problem sila. Pollution, so that's a lung
Lungs.
problem. Skin cancer, skin problems exposed to heat. Di ba?
Tapos ito, hearing loss.
Hearing loss. Plus nagkakaroon ng problem sa mga tuhod tsaka sa mga ankles.
Kasi lagi silang
Laging
nakatayo.
nakatayo.
Kaya nga 'di ba meron sila yung mga mini breaks para hindi sila laging nakatayo.
Ayun, isa pa. May nabanggit na isang doctor noon, yung prostate problems because yung pants nila are a little tight.
Oo.
So yung blood
Pero ngayon
flow is
parang
different.
pinalitan
Pinaluwag
na 'yon.
So ang daming sana we take care of these enforcers sa bars.
Oo. Alright, sige, let's continue. Coming up, President Marcos remains mum on Vice President Sara Duterte's resignation from his cabinet. Pero nagparinig ba siya sa kanyang dating ka-unit team?
And the Philippine Navy says China has been the most aggressive in their latest encounter in the West Philippine Sea.
We are just getting started, mga kapatid. More of our top 10 news when Brunch returns. Keep it here on One News. Good morning! You're still watching Brunch here on One News. Happy Friday po sa lahat ng nanonood sa atin ngayon, sa TV, sa social media. Yan, happy Friday po. At syempre, we are joined by our Friday buddy. Friday, brunch
nabawasan?
buddy. Oo, brunch buddy. Ang Buddha's Belly.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Bakit?
5, 6, 7. Kanina 9 yan
Yung alin?
Yung-
Binibilang mo talaga?
Kanina 9. Nabawasan.
Kinain mo, ayun oh.
Hindi, wala.
Meron kang evidence.
Saan?
Ayun.
Kung may evidence, i-shot. Ay,
Ito, oh.
wala. Kailangan na gumawa.
Kinain mo
Uy, pero
Oh.
good morning sa lahat ng mga viewers natin. May mga
Sino?
shoutout dito. Okay, we have Leonila Bautista. Good morning daw sa atin dalawa. Tessil Samaniego, Sam Pokemon Go. Take back my joke daw yesterday.
Ay, nako.
Magaling ka daw kumanta.
Thank you so much.
Inaway mo ata kanina Si Dems Oliveros, good morning. Marvin Chavez.
Oo.
Good morning. Si Mer, good morning din.
Sino si Marvin Chavez? Si Kuyong kilala.
Hindi ko kilala yung Marvin Chavez yan.
Sige, let's move forward to our topic for today. Di ko yun kilala. Going straight now to our 7th spot. Experts are now calling for a new approach to global funding to prepare the next generation for various health crises. Jovi Francisco has the report.
Barely a month after the proposed pandemic treaty was shelved during the World Health Organization's annual assembly in Geneva, members of the panel that worked on the proposed accord swiftly renewed calls for leaders to unite and prepare for the next pandemic. As monkeypox continued to spread in Central Africa, and the bird flu now affecting mammals, igniting fears of imminent human-to-human transmission, experts warn the world would most likely be overwhelmed by any new pandemic threat. This was underscored by members of the Independent Panel for Pandemic Preparedness and Response during a virtual forum attended by journalists from across the globe. Panel co-chairs and former world leaders, Liberia's Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and New Zealand's Helen Clark, led the release of an important report. This after the WHO Assembly failed to pass a pandemic treaty that has been in the works since 2021, when the world was battling COVID-19. The panel's postscript is scathing and instructive at the same time. They criticized officials who wasted the learnings from the recent pandemic, but also noted that political leaders play an important role in making sure the next generation will be better prepared during a pandemic.
Obviously, leadership needs to be applied to preventing disasters, not just responding to them.
So while we learn lessons from the COVID-19 pandemic, I think the more enduring insight or even wisdom is to expect the next pandemic to be different from COVID-19. We need to be prepared for the worst case scenario, meaning the next pandemic could be as severe as SARS and as transmissible as an influenza virus. When that happens, and we accept that in a pandemic, our common mission as healthcare jurisdiction is to minimize deaths.
While the panel still hopes a treaty will be approved, they presented other suggestions in the meantime, like more transparency and trust among countries, a new approach to global funding when a pandemic spreads.
On the issue of financing, we and others have estimated that you need at least that 10 to 15 billion every year to support low and middle income countries to strengthen preparedness. We say it should be additional to official development assistance, A, because there's not much of it, and B, because it addresses a global common good. We continue to advocate a global public investment model for this, where everyone pays in and country allocation is according to need.
A more equitable access to vaccines, therapeutics, and diagnostics. A formal group of world leaders focused on pandemic preparedness and even the possibility of splitting the WHO into two functions, with one zeroing in solely on health emergencies.
And we posed an open question, and I stress it is an open question: should WHO be split into two organizations? One that is focused on emergency operations, as that work has to be done, and one that's focused on operational and technical excellence in health. Both are important and need focus.
The WHO recently amended its international health regulations and calendared the approval of the pandemic treaty within the next year. But in the meantime, it is being stressed that cooperation from world leaders is imperative to ensure the protection of 8 billion people. Joey Francisco, we are One News.
Yeah, what they're preparing for kasi is a global response kasi we should have learned our lesson coming from the Spanish yung Spanish influenza outbreak. Tapos we did not even prepare, we did not correct yung nangyari after, and we went straight to COVID-19 pandemic. And then the response was the same, medyo mabagal, di ba? The way we close borders, kanya-kanyang closing ng borders ang iba-ibang countries from Asia to Europe to the Americas. So ang gusto nila, there's a unified closure of borders. Some countries close their borders after 5 days, yung iba 3 days. Other countries allow their people to leave areas of infection.
Like what happened to us, di ba? Yung nangyari sa China before, they contained, di ba, in a certain area, yung spread nung virus, yung COVID. Naalala mo, the whole street was locked down.
Correct.
And we were reporting it. And like here naman in the Philippines, when magkakaroon supposedly ng lockdown, pinayagan pa tayong umuwi within 2 days.
2 to 3 days.
2 to 3 days, diba? Nagpunta ng mga terminals, so umuwi. Kumalat tuloy.
Yung infections mo was naka-contain, so tuloy nahirapan tayo to figure out ano yung areas ang hotspots. Tapos, maganda rin yung proposal nila na to split the WHO into two functions. The other function is that of an emergency response group. It's because, if you remember, nung itong pandemic, ang WHO simply gave guidelines and directives lang, and then the governments would implement it based on WHO guidelines. Pagkaroon ng, if they split it into two, tas may emergency response ang WHO, this gives them an actual team that can go around, di ba? And unified, nakafocus lang sila on response to emergency crisis.
Oo.
Parang sa movie
Divided
ng-
talaga dapat yung work.
Oo. Parang yung sa movie ni, pangalan nito, may movie ng ganun
Contagion?
Contagion. There's another movie, Pandemic ata. Oo, na meron emergency response team, pero US kasi yun. This one kasi a world emergency response team.
I remember we were talking about this, naunsa may yung agreement supposedly yung pact, di ba? Sa report din yun ni Jovi before. And because yung mga rich countries, yung mga developed
Yes.
countries, hindi sila nagkakasundo as to what are they going to put in that, tawag doon, yung agreement.
Yung agreement.
Di ba? And parang, if they're going to wait pa doon sa agreement na yon na maging successful, the world, anong tawag dito, yung adaptation o adoption ng ratification would require 60 countries to sign.
Yes.
So, ira-ratify pa yon. So, sabi nga nila, parang masyadong tedious. 'Di ba yung ganung proseso. So let's do something else, tapos kailangan ng funding, etc. At to be able to address the pandemic just in case magkaroon ulit ng world pandemic, 'di ba?
That's right. But tama yung report. We need a unified response
Yes,
already.
totoo yan.
Huwag na tayo maghintay ng next pandemic, di ba?
Oo.
There should be measures already in place if we detect a virus or a bacteria or a fungi or something that is a spore that is going to affect us all. Maaga pa lang, let's stop it na.
Yes, I remember there were also healthcare workers that went to different countries. Like, I forgot na kasi which country yung naubusan sila ng healthcare workers. Tapos nagpadala yung ibang bansa to help, di ba, dun sa pagresponde ng pandemic. So, iba-iba yung mga naging resolution nga doon sa pandemic na to, yung COVID-19 pandemic. So, it's easy nga kung magkaroon tayo ng unified action on this. Para pagdating ng mga next generation, kukunin na nila itong template na ito. Di ba? Hindi na tayo mangangapa in the future.
Well said, Counselor.
All right.
Next. Ranking 6 in our countdown is the proposed wage hike. Labor groups renew their calls to increase the daily minimum wage rate in Metro Manila. In a public hearing, the labor group said the daily minimum wage rate should increase by almost 600 pesos to 750 pesos. This is equivalent to over 1,200 to 1,300 pesos per day. The Employers Confederation of the Philippines, or ECOP, opposed this, arguing that it will cause repercussions like wage distortion. If it were up to ECOP, the minimum wage should only have a 16 peso increase. The NCR Regional Wage Board is expected to have a decision on the proposed wage hike on July 16.
Or the amount needed to restore based on the consumer price index, no? For the period in question is 16 pesos for the 610 and 15 pesos for the 573.
Salamat naman sa ECOP sa 15 pesos at 16 pesos na proposal.
Yo.
16 pesos per day, 15 pesos.
Oo,
I
kasi
think,
itong last na wage hike is 40 pesos 'di ba?
Pero I think naman they can have stipulations or specific sa proposal na, okay, pag large enterprises, ganito ang increase mo, mas mataas. Pag medium, ganito. Pag small, pwedeng exempted ka kasi...
Hindi, actually, totoo yan. Ang SMS ay exempted dyan sa pagtaas na yan. Dahil
but alam mo kasi there's an emerging category now that is even smaller businesses than yung small enterprises, di ba? So, kailangan nila pag-aralan yung mga ganyan because may informal economy businesses pa tayo, mga online, di ba? Baka sooner or later kasi these informal businesses, they become businesses na may pwesto, na may 2 to 3 employees pero hindi registered.
Pero ito kasi, yun sa mga laborers
Yes,
natin,
yung
ito
15,
ay
16
mga
pesos.
under big companies diba?
Hindi. Pag big
Pag
companies...
big companies ka, yun nga. Pero kasi nag-meeting sila dyan, all the stakeholders, diba? Yung mga samahan ng mga laborers, pati yung mga Employers Confederation nga kanina, at nagsasabi. Kasi yung ibang mga laborers, iba't ibang grupo yan. Iba't ibang may mga hingi sila. Merong 700, merong 500, yung mga ganyan. Tapos sinasabi naman ng mga Employers Confederation ay teka muna, ito lang yung kaya namin. Kasi ang excuse, no, ang reason ng mga employers ay, sige, we can increase the sweldo, the salary, pero baka we have to cut down with the manpower because we won't be able to take it longer, 'di ba? Yung kumbaga yung operation expenses, etc. Pero ang sinasabi naman of course ng mga laborers natin bigyan niyo kami ng living wage. Kasi below ngayon yung living wage 'di ba? Yung kumbaga yung ang tawag doon yung ginagastos ng pamilya, 'di ba, na mababa doon sa binibigay ngayon. 610 ang minimum wage as of now.
Ang problema lang kasi you have to remember yung large companies, they produce massive quantities of product. For example, let's take the food industry or production or industrial. If you increase mga isang company that has 3,000, 5,000 employees, kahit sabihin mong 16 pesos per employee per day yan, multiply that by the number of employees, magbabalo ng operational cost nila. So therefore, sabihin ko, kung ako siguro, Presidente, teka lang, laki ng operational cost. Can we cut 300 workers? Instead, let's put an intelligent working force. Di ba, may computerized machines already sa industry. Yung mga arms na, di ba, yung isang belt daw to produce siguro 1,000 cans. Kung dati sabihin mo, kailangan mo 30 employees, you can even cut it down ngayon to 15. Kasi yung computer na gagawa ng iba.
Right.
Yan ang iiwasan natin. Yan ang ayaw natin. But of course, we have to provide a decent,
Of course.
a decent wage for our workers. Kasi, di ba, at the end of the
Ang mahal
day...
kaya ng bilihin ngayon, bigas, gasolin, di ba, pamasahe mo.
Exactly.
Ang mga basic necessities.
But
Even luya is
Correct.
expensive right now.
But yung keyword na rin sinabi mo is gas. Para patakbuhin yung mga machines, you need money. So you have to balance. It's a balancing
So,
act.
malalaman natin yan
mahirap.
by July 16, on or before July 16, kung magkano. Definitely meron, taas. Ang pinag-uusapan dyan, magkano na naman. Diba? Baka
Basta decent.
mamaya,
Sana decent.
barya-barya na naman yan. Alright, let's continue with our countdown. Now, coming hot at fifth spot is former Negros Oriental Governor Pride Tevis. The brother of expelled lawmaker Arnie Tevis was arrested yesterday in Dumaguete City. Tevis was apprehended following his designation as a most wanted person. He is facing charges for violating the Terrorism Financing Prevention and Suppression Act of 2012. The Anti-Terrorism Council earlier designated the Tevis brothers and 11 others as terrorists for their involvement in the killing of slain Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo. Tevis eventually posted a 600,000 pesos bail. The brothers. We are still awaiting dun sa magiging resulta ng extradition case ni Arnie Tevis. Sa
Tapos na, di ba?
Timor-Leste.
Tapos na
Tapos na, but we're still waiting for the result.
Yung resolution.
Ito naman yung sa brother niya, even if nakapag-post siya ng bill, tuloy naman yung kaso.
Tuloy yung kaso.
Alright, sige.
Move on.
Let's continue.
On our top 4, PAOK has called for the deportation of Chinese workers nabbed in a Pogo hub in Porac, Pampanga. The commission asked the Justice Department and Immigration Bureau to send back over 150 individuals to China. The Filipino-Chinese community in the country vowed to assist the government in the process of deportation.
Simulan na yung summary deportation. So mag-aantay pa po tayo ng schedule noon. Siguro pinakamatagal na yan, mga 2 linggo. Madi-deport na po natin yung mga walang kaso na mga Chinese.
Suspended Bamban Tarlac Mayor Alice Guo may also face deportation in cases like perjury. This is in connection to Senate hearings over her alleged connection to Pogo operations in Tarlac. PAOK earlier said that they are preparing to file non-bailable charges against Guo and other officials.
So, yun nga, no? Kasi ang natanong dyan saan kumukuha ng budget ang PAOK? Diba dito sa mga ginagastos nila? Because apparently, napakalaki ng ginagastos nila dito sa mga raid na ginagawa nila. Sa isang raid lamang dyan sa Porac, Pampanga, they have already spent 30 to 40 million. Yun nga, kasi pati yung pagpapadeport, sila gagastos, yung pag-detain dito sa mga tauhan o yung mga tao involved dito sa raid na to, i-detain yan, pakakainin, tapos may pamilya na pumupunta doon, aasikasuhin, etc. So, yun yung nagiging problema. Ang ano nga dyan ang suggestion yan, bakit hindi daw ang PAGCOR ang gumastos ng kanilang mga gastos dyan.
We talked about it a few weeks ago, yung sinasabi natin. Aside from the social cost, meron din yung impact yan because may strain sa budget. Hindi forecasted to This is circumstances, special circumstance that needed action from the government. So, di ba sabi natin, i-compute nyo ngayon to form a force, the PAOK, di ba may mga cooperation yan, may equipment na ginagamit, may intelligence gathering yan, lahat yan has a cost. If ito, kukonti pa lang ang nare-raid nila and 40 million na ang ginagastos nila, kung uubusin nila or hahanapin nila sa lahat ng POGO, which is madami, magkano yung gagastos nyo? Tapos yung tax na nakokollect natin, magkano ba nakokollect natin tax yearly?
Magkano? Sa POGO?
No, that's nationally, di ba? Nationally, magkano yung tax galing sa POGO na ko-collect. Tapos i-compute mo magkano ang ma-allocate sa tax na yan sa, let's say, sa Pampanga, sa Porac, baka hindi enough to compensate for expenses.
I remember, during the Duterte administration, di ba, sinabi niya, i-tax yan, di ba, yung mga POGO na yan. Tapos parang ang forecast nila dito sa mga legal POGOs, na makukuha nila from it ay around mga 20 billion, ganyan. Pero apparently, ito recent mga studies and
5 billion
reports,
ang na-claim ata
5 billion lang
5 billion
yung nakukuha. Tapos ito, napakalaking gulo ng idinudulot nga dito.
Ilan pa lang ang na-raid? 40 million na ginastos. So ano ba yung 5 billion mo kung ganun ang ganun ang operational cost mo, yung cost of
Tapos yung mga ide-deport, pag-usapan natin yung mga ide-deport lang ba sila? At kasi 'di ba nakausap natin before si Sir Winston, yung spokesperson ng PAOK, sabi niya yung ibang mga nahuli doon ay most probably ay may mga kaso din kinakaharap sa China. 'Di ba? Mga fugitives, yung iba kingpin, 'di ba? O what else can we do? Kasi dito din may ginawa silang krimen.
Mga most wanted pala sa China.
'Di ba? Meron din silang ginawa dito na krimen
Ay, no.
Diba? Naku, talaga, yung storya na yan sa about Pogo, it's not gonna die soon dahil napakalaki nito. And we are also expecting PAOK to file their case against sa Mayor Banban Mayor Alice Guo. Today. Today yan. Ha? Okay, sige, ayan ang abangan natin. And now, let's continue with our countdown. Ranking third in our countdown is the missing Filipino seafarer. The Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, remains optimistic that the missing Filipino seafarer in MV Tutor is still alive. This despite confirming that the bulk carrier has already sunk into the Red Sea after being attacked by the Houthi rebels. The White House also reported the Filipino has already died. DMW has already visited the family of the missing seafarer to provide a debriefing and psychosocial intervention.
We cannot officially confirm his death or his passing. He is missing. And as I said, we continue to provide support to the family.
Ayun nga pala. Regarding dun sa balita natin, kasi until now nga hindi pa kino-confirm ng DFA. Pero yung earlier news natin, kinonfirm ng White House, kinonfirm din ng DMW. So, but they are still, hoping na baka may mailigtas pa doon and sana nga. Pero pinakita yung recent video na sumabog at lumubog na ito.
Para may isang soundbite daw ng taga-government. Ang kinonfirm lang daw nila is Philippine government is not yung nanamatay na, but they confirm that the White House indeed said it. Pero we're still verifying it. So parang na-misinterpret daw ng ibang tao. Parang we confirm that the White House has confirmed the death of the Filipino, but we are verifying its veracity kung totoo. Kasi until they see a body, di ba, the actual body, hindi natin ma-verify. Of course, on our Philippine part, as much as possible,
gusto natin
may pag-asa pa. Ang mahirap lang dito sa family kasi humahaba. Exactly. And of course, they're very anxious already.
It's so hard di ba? Ano na nangyayari dun sa kaanak ko, di ba? And I remember, yung other 21 Filipino crew member that boarded that ship, or MV Tutor, di ba? Sa Red Sea, sinabi na they held on for as long as they could, parang hanapin tong isang nawawala.
It's an emotional game.
Alright.
Don't go away because we're not done yet.
May dalawa pa!
Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Brunch here on One News. Buti na paalala, nakalimutan ko ni Direk Marvin, di ba? Summer solstice. What is summer solstice? It's the longest...
Don't ask me. Char. Go.
Rhetoric.
Nakikinig ako.
That is just a metaphorical question.
I know naman
Summer
the
solstice
answer.
kasi it's the longest day of the year. Every country, nag-iiba-iba yan from June 20, 21 to 22. But usually, it occurs between those days kasi what happens during the summer solstice is humahaba ang isang araw because of the astronomical year. Nag-iiba-iba ang bilis daw sa rotation of the sun. Something like that.
Longest,
so today,
longest day
sa Chicago,
of the year.
the summer solstice is June 20. Sa atin po, it's today, di ba?
Yeah.
Tama ba? It's today. And yun, the summer solstice occurs between June 20, 21, and 22. Yan. Longest day of the year today. Mahaba-haba araw. So kung may problema ka, hahaba ang problema mo today unless ayaw mong humaba problema,
Manood ka
na
dito
lang.
sa brunch
Yes.
para hindi ka, ano ba yun? Para sumaya ka. Pero sabi dito ni Gary ko, totoo pala yung food, akala daw niya display lang. Totoo po yan,
Yes,
everyday,
Buddha's
iba't
belly
iba.
po yan. Buddha's belly yan.
Totoo yan. Kinakain po namin yan dito. Alright, let's continue with our countdown. Ano ba ang ating number 2?
Let's move on. President Marcos has yet to comment on Vice President Sara Duterte's resignation as Education Secretary. But in his recent remarks, Marcos called on all government agencies to continue what they have started. The chief executive also acknowledged and thanked his cabinet members for their efforts.
Pinaalalahan ko ang lahat ng mga ahensya, lingkod bayan, mga kabalikat sa gobyerno. Huwag natin sayangin ang ating mga nasimulan.
Duterte ally and former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque believes that Sara could be the new face of the opposition. But this did not sit well with some lawmakers, especially for those who belong to the minority bloc in Congress.
Duterte Camp, dahil yung Duterte Camp ay opposed sa ICC investigation, opposed sa hustisya para sa mga biktima ng pekeng gera kontra droga, ganyan. Kung ayaw nila dyan, hindi talaga sila oposisyon na naglilingkod sa taong bayan.
Oh. Yun nga kasi sinasabi nila, 'di ba, si Attorney Harry Roque, sinabi niya, the line has drawn. Now Vice President Sara Duterte can now speak up against the issues that she is not agreeing to. Tapos ano pa 'yun?
Ang sabi kasi ng ibang pundits,
siya na daw yung muka ng
opposition. Yan, regarding that, how do you define opposition kasi? If you define opposition in the traditional sense, it means you're opposed to the issues that the current people in power espouse, di ba? Ngayon, there's another new definition of the opposition in today's modern politics. It simply means kung ayaw mo, if you're opposing the current administration, opposition ka na. So ano ba definition mo? Against ka ba sa issues or against ka sa personality?
Even
diba?
si Congressman Edson Lagman, sinasabi niya, teka muna, parang meron siyang term na ginamit, parliamentary opposition yata, if I'm not mistaken. Sila daw pa rin ang opposition. Pero yun nga, sinasabi rin ni Manong Ted kanina, ang pinaka-opposition daw talaga, yung Makabayan Bloc. Kasi yung sa issue talaga,
they are a constant opposition.
Constant opposition.
Because ang mandate ng Makabayan Bloc is check and balances.
Yes.
Kasi isipin mo,
pwedeng oo ka lang ng oo.
Some people may say, ginugulo mo yung buhay ng mga tao, Makabayan Bloc, but hindi po. Because if wala ka Makabayan Bloc, people in power, wala na silang takot na may mag-iingay.
Yeah.
Tuloy-tuloy lang sila sa mga measures that sometimes, baka hindi naman sadyang gusto magkaroon ng problema, mga measures or laws that passed, but sometimes may error yan kasi mga tao yan They make mistakes. But if you have one who ang function niya is to make sure pupuntiryahin mo lahat ng gusto mong ipasang bill, yan ang true nature or true purpose of the opposition.
Unless
to scrutinize.
Diba? To make sure yung check
and balance.
Unless lang you're in one household, dapat yung asawa na babae, yun ang laging masusunod. Hindi ko kontra yung misis, di ba?
Yes. I agree.
Pero hindi, going back dun sa issue natin, yun nga, yung mga, tawag dito, yung pagdedeklara ng mga oposisyon. Sinabi kasi ni former legal counsel to the president before, si
Salvador
Attorney
Panelo.
Sal Panelo, sinabi niya, parang sabi niya, hindi yata mukha ng oposisyon si Vice President Sara Duterte. Parang ang mukha, dahil ang nag-umpisa nito ay si PRRD. Si Sara could be the heart of the opposition. Yun ang sinasabi.
Pero para sa akin, Sara is the face of, kung if ever, the face is usually the one who is on the firing line, di ba? Yung nasa front line. Siya nasa front line ngayon eh. She's the vice president. Si PRRD is already a retired politician as of the moment. So usually, ikaw yung puso, ikaw yung person behind it. You started it. The heart's the one that keeps the di ba? The heart, Ay, kala ko sabi mo.
Hindi.
Wala ako. Okay, anyway, mahabang usapan pa naman yan.
Niya, and we will see kung talagang magiging opposition siya sa gagawin niya.
Correct.
Makakarinig tayo ng mga salita mula kay Vice President Sara Duterte dahil sa ngayon ay tahimik pa. But for the meantime, let's continue with our countdown. Now, going back to our top spot is the recent harassment incident in Ayungin Shoal. The Philippine Navy called the incident the most aggressive China has ever been to our troops in the West Philippine Sea. Here's the report.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, recently uploaded the videos of China's latest harassment of our troops in Ayungin Shoal on Monday, June 17. The China Coast Guard surrounded our rigid hull inflatable boats, or RHIB, violently collided their vessels against our boat, pointed a weapon against our soldiers, and used tear gas, sirens, and blinking lights to further threaten our troops. The Philippine Navy said this is the most aggressive posture China has ever done.
They came close because they were after the ribs. They were after the boats, not the ship. This barbaric, this piracy, they are thieves. These illegal, coercive, aggressive, and deceptive actions of China does not reflect the intention of their country to be a global power. Other countries have to be wary of this.
A close source to News 5 said this is the first time the CCG surrounded BRP Sierra Madre and got so close to our troops. The source added that CCG never used weapons before. China also got so aggressive that they destroyed the Filipino troops' windshield and communication and navigational equipment. For maritime security expert Ray Powell, China's recent harassment incident can already be considered as an armed attack. That's why he is pushing the Marcos administration to use Article 3 of the Mutual Defense Treaty, or MDT. Under this article, the Philippines and the US can start their consultation about their next step after the harassment incident.
At this point, what is needed is some clarity across the board, some clarity from the Philippine side as to what they expect and want out of their U.S. allies, some clarity from the U.S. side as to what that they expect and to be able to provide and can provide, and frankly, clarity on the Chinese side so that they understand what the implications are of carrying out an illegal blockade against a U.S. ally in its own exclusive economic zone.
Maritime security analyst Chester Cabalza also urged the Philippines and the U.S. to address the gray areas of MDT.
They're using a different thing. So you see different kinds of tactics, perhaps to confuse us. And I think this is the gray zone of the Mutual Defense Treaty, which we haven't seen since 1951. So it has to be discussed.
The military will discuss their next steps after the recent incident in their resupply mission. But one thing's for sure, they will not back down against China despite their worsening aggressive actions in our exclusive economic zone. Mobile journalist Mary Reyes, we are One News.
Now to further talk about this, we have Senator Francis Tolentino on the line.
Good morning, Senator. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning to your viewers as well.
Yes, Senator, you earlier urged the president to convene the National Security Council with former presidents about this ongoing tension. Senator, could you tell us more about this?
It's part of an existing executive order. That's the highest policy-making body in terms of making recommendations concerning national security. So if you look at Executive Order 115, that's the content of it.
Yeah. Just to clarify lang po, how can the former presidents help PBBM in making strategies in the West Philippine Sea?
They are part of the, under the law, they're part of the National Security Council. And I guess that the rationale behind the law is that they have the wisdom, having occupied the seat before.
Senator, do you agree po ba dun sa calls of invoking the Mutual Defense Treaty after nga po itong latest incident sa Ayungin Shoal? Or are you still for diplomatic talk? Senator, your thoughts on that?
The MDT will not be triggered if the words armed attack are not yet reached. So if you look at the June 17 incident, would it really qualify as an armed attack? So that's the question. That's why we need the National Security Council.
But kayo po, personally, yung base po sa inyong pag-analyze itong sitwasyon na ito, yung nangyari po noong June 17, would you consider this an armed attack?
I have my own personal opinion, but an armed attack, iba siguro yung threshold nun eh. It's a higher level of violence na naggagantihan, nagbabarilan, etc. etc.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt, Senator, na medyo nag-escalate ang tension. But people are also talking about yung Philippine Maritime Zones Act, which you principally authored po. Ano po daw ang status nito? At pag, if
I
ever...
think it will be signed by July.
By July?
It will be signed by July, yes.
Okay. Ang tanong po kasi ng ibang taong bayan, kung mapirma na po ito, ano po ang maitutulong nito sa bansa natin in easing the tension?
Ang maitutulong sa bansa natin ay magkakaroon tayo ng maliwanag na mapa ng ating karagatan na aprobahan ng United Nations.
Okay.
Nasa ngayon, wala tayo.
Okay, and I'd also like to ask Senator Tolentino, yung mga kawawa natin fisher folk. I understand you visited them because marami pong ayaw na lumabas para mag-fish, so yung income nila po medyo bumababa. And I think you proposed na magkaroon ng alternative livelihood sana sila. Ano po ang proposal nyo na alternative livelihood, Senator?
Hindi naman po ayaw na lumabas. Marami pang lumalabas. Kausap ko sila kahapon. So, kung ano man ang proposal, dapat sa kanila po manggaling yan, base po sa kanilang kakayahan, base po sa mga resources na nandun sa kanilang komunidad, kagaya po ng mga seaweeds.
Okay.
Alright, taking this opportunity na rin po to ask you regarding the recent resignation of Vice President Sara Duterte being the Deputy Secretary. Ano po yung reaction nyo on that?
Nakakalungkot po na may magbitiw na isang kampe ng Pangulo. Nakakalungkot din po bilang isang mamamayang bumoto sa kanilang dalawa. Ang inaasam-asam ko na lang po, what I'm looking forward is for a capable replacement as soon as even before the July 19 effectivity has been reached.
May mga tao po kasi nagsasabi na maganda daw po na ma-appoint ngayon ay non-political person sa Department of Education. Your thoughts on that din po, sir?
Bahala na po dyan ang Pangulo. Pangulo siya po ang nag-a-appoint.
Do you think po si Vice President Sara Duterte will be the face of opposition like the other people are saying?
Hindi ko po masagot dyan. No comment po ako dyan. Decision po nila yan.
Lastly, Senator, I want to go back to dun po sa issue natin sa West Philippine Sea. Clearly, we have taken a lot of measures already para po dun sa ating RORE mission, yung resupply mission. And recently nga po hindi ito naging successful dahil po sa pagharang na ginawa ng Chinese Coast Guard. Ano po ba? What else can we do? Meron po ba kayong maaring suggestion on that? Kasi before, we tried yung airdraft.
Sinabi ko po noong June 18, immediately after, that we get in touch with the ICRC, International Committee of the Red Cross based in Switzerland. Sila po yung neutral international organization na eksperto po dyan, founded since 1863. Sila po yung nagdadala ng pagkain sa Ukraine. Sila yung nagdadala ng food supply sa Gaza, sa Rafah. Sila rin po yung nagdala sa Afghanistan at maging noong World War II.
But what about the suggestions po na joint patrol na lang with the US? Do you agree on that?
Iba po yung patrol, iba yung delivery.
I mean yung pagkasama rin po sa delivery rather.
dapat siguro pag-usapan yon. Last night I was the guest speaker of I was on board the USS Blue Ridge. Nakatakpa ho sila dito sa South Harbor. Marami yung pinag-uusapan na siguro hindi pwedeng ilahad sa ere. We deem it as more sensitive right now.
Right. Alright, on that note, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras and we hope to talk to you again. Opo.
Salamat po.
Alright, that's Senator Francis Tolentino. Okay.
Alright.
Kanyang,
daming issue about this, but this is going to continue next week. We have to wait kung ano yung magiging actual response ng government to this. Of course, yung request for the arms na maisole, makinuha nilang baril. Oo, di ba?
Yeah.
That's the property of the Philippine Army. So, ano yung status niyan? Si General Romeo Browner, nakikita mo yung mukha. Medyong dismayado at galit.
Sabi nga niya, act of piracy na to
act of piracy.
Oo. Parang in essence, ang sinasabi nga ng ibang mga Philippine Navy personnel, they were taunting us, di ba? Na, ang tawag dito, mapikon, di ba? Talagang lumaban or magkaroon din ng aggressive reaction dun sa kanilang ginagawa. But I think on that note, okay din naman na hindi tayo, kumbaga, kumagat doon sa provocation na yon. Diba? At least nakita ng international community yung totoong nangyari. Diba? Ito yung mga videos na nakita natin na talagang tinutusok nila yung mga rubber boats natin. Diba? Yung isang natin, yung isang Philippine Navy natin, nasugatan pa,
putulan ng daliri.
Yung daliri niya. So,
Pas, nakakalungkot lang yung tinanong ni General Browner, di ba? Ikaw ba, babalik pa ba sa serbisyo pag okay ka na? Basta may utos mo kayo, sir. Ready na daw siya. So parang dedication talaga ng sundalo natin.
Exactly. So ang hirap talaga nitong sitwasyon natin because clearly China is not recognizing anything but themselves. Diba? Yung ruling, sinasabi ng international community, and other political analysts would say back their channel, sa panahon na ito, baka po pwede pa. But I don't know.
Sabi nga ni Ray Powell, you cannot go into a negotiation with a country that has clearly leverage over you. If you want to negotiate, you have to be on the same playing field.
Certain position of power.
Baka naman kasi that we can explore invoking the MDT not for war purposes, pero in the middle of negotiation or kasama sa negotiation, katunggalin natin ang US.
Exactly.
That gives us leverage.
At saka ang tanong din dyan, iba-iba yung treatment ng ng China doon sa mga claimant dyan sa West Philippine Sea, sa South China Sea. And bakit, 'di ba? Ano ba yung mga ginagawa ng iba sa Vietnam? Ang Vietnam is also, habang tayo ngayon ay kumbaga ang tawag doon nag-aaway dalawa ng China, nagkakaroon ng mga tension between the Chinese the China, tuloy-tuloy lang ang pag-build ng Vietnam doon. Although wala naman tayong report doon na lumalampas sila sa territory nila. Ay, o nga pala, 10:59
nakatingala ako sa iyo kasi
Pwede mo sinasabi?
Nadadala lang ako
Si Tita Daisy nanonood siya sa atin.
Good morning sa lahat ng viewers natin. Wala po tayong oras. Thank you, Buddha's Belly.
Buddha's Belly, thank you so much.
And with that, I'd like to leave you a quote coming from Leo Buscalja. Worry never robs tomorrow of its sorrow. It only saps today of its joy. Happy weekend, everyone. And that wraps up today's episode of Brunch.
Ayan. Join us again on Monday. I'm Angela Lagunzad-Castro. And you are? Paano mo? Angelo Castro III. We are One News, all sides,
all the time.
All the time. Happy Friday!